How's it going, everybody? It's C-RadTV back here with another video. So, of course, everybody's had their turn with their mock drafts here. So, you know what? I think it's time I have my crack at it here. So, for this video, I'm actually recording this on April 15th. This date has a lot of significance because this day that I'm recording it on, it's actually my 22nd birthday. So, how about that? So, I decided, you know what? For my 22nd birthday special, let's do a mock draft video. I'll have it out, of course, late Thursday morning, early Thursday afternoon. So, yeah, anyway, there's a lot to discuss here. So, for my Lions mock draft, let's go ahead. Let's see who I think the Lions should go with, and who can really help this team improve in the long run. So, anyway, let's get started with the 2020 full 7-round Detroit Lions mock draft. Let's jump right into it. So with the third pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions trade the pick away. It's no secret here the Detroit Lions want to trade down in this draft and acquire more picks. So for this trade down scenario, I have the Lions trading with the Miami Dolphins. So the Lions trade the third pick to the Miami Dolphins, and I said I would have a mock draft scenario where nobody else had. So for this one, I have the Dolphins sending the Lions a king's ransom, because the Dolphins are in a bidding war with other teams for the pick, like the Chargers, the Raiders. I've heard the Raiders are in the mix. The Panthers are even in the mix. I've heard the Jaguars, the Raiders, even heard the Saints might be in the mix too, along with the Patriots. A lot of teams in the mix. I've even heard maybe the Falcons could be in the mix too. So a lot of teams said Miami has really more draft capital than other teams, maybe except Jacksonville, to outbid anybody. So for this scenario, I have the Dolphins giving up the 5th pick, the 18th pick, the 26th pick, the 39th pick, and the 56th pick. So the Dolphins give up all 3 first-round picks and all their second-round picks to move up to 3 for the Dolphins to take quarterback Tua Tagovailoa. Now, there's questions, though. It could be Justin Herbert now because of the whole Tua thing. I'm not sure if the failed physicals are true or not, because it's that time of year, though, where we see a lot of BS draft stories. I mean, I'm not sure if the injury will matter. I still think Tua's going to go high because there are teams that are desperate for a QB. But yeah, for now it could be, I think it will be 4 picks. I've heard reports that the Lions asking price with the Dolphins is all 3 first-round picks as a start. I think the Dolphins might throw the additional second-round pick just to outbid any other offer the other teams may have left, just to secure the quarterback they want. I mean, you could swap the 56th pick out with the 70th pick, which is the Dolphins' 3rd-round pick. You could swap that out with that if you want. But I think the Dolphins want to make sure they get the QB they want. And yeah, Tua may sit out for a year, but the Dolphins, they're rebuilding anyway. Even with this trade, the Dolphins would still have 10 picks in the draft. They still have a good amount of draft picks. And if they need to, they can always trade back in later rounds and acquire more picks to make up for it if they need to. Plus, whoever takes Tua, like I said, they're going to be redshirting regardless. So then the Dolphins are rebuilding and tanking anyway, so they can tank. They can get some O-linemen to protect Tua. And they could tank next year, maybe take an O-lineman in the 1st round next year as a suggestion. You know? And plus, keep in mind, whenever there was that, what I did was last month on Good Morning Football, Nate Burleson said that you never go to the grocery store hungry. And that every year in the draft, someone overpays ridiculously just to get what they want in the draft. I feel like the Dolphins are going to make that. I feel like the Dolphins are going to do that. Plus, keep in mind, Dolphins head coach Brian Flores used to work in New England with Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia, so they have a good relationship. I mean, it would be very impressive if Bob Quinn pulled that kind of trade-off. Will it happen? Maybe. It could happen if it does, if the 3rd pick does turn into an all-out bidding war. But for my scenario, I have those 5 picks being traded away for pick number 3 for the Dolphins to go up and take Tua Tagovailoa. So, of course, to refresh everyone, the picks the Lions acquire are picks 5, 18, 26, 39, and 56. But anyway, with all that explanation out of the way, let's move on. Oh yeah, by the way, I forgot to mention, for the first 2 picks I have, it's no-brainer that we do not even need to discuss it. The first 2 picks are going to be Joe Burrow to the Bengals and Chase Young to the Redskins. Those picks are no-brainers. We don't even need to discuss that any further to know why I trade down. But anyway, continuing on though. So now, with the 5th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select, hailing out of Clemson, linebacker / safety, Isaiah Simmons. This is the guy I want the Lions to take with their first round pick this year. If Simmons falls, take him immediately. Do not even think twice about it. Like, Simmons, what is there that hasn't been said about him? Like, he's the prototype for, the new defender in the, in a position, in a now an increasingly positionless NFL. He used to be a safety, but he outgrew the position, and now he's a linebacker. Like, he has a lot of position versatility. He also excels in man coverage, which is what Patricia's defense excels in, is man coverage and mainly does. And he also can pass rush, which is the 2 things that both Chase Young and Jeff Okudah can do. Like, he has more position versatility. He can play safety, he can play corner, he can play linebacker, he can play edge. He can play anywhere on defense, except for defensive tackle. That's the one position he can't play. But, he's the equivalent of a Swiss Army knife. That versatility plus his size, height, speed. He had one of the faster 40-yard times out of all the linebackers and defensive players in the draft. A 40-yard time of 4.39. Like, for his size and height, that's not normal for something like that. Like, he's a very established athlete. He also used to do track and field at Clemson. So he's also a former track athlete, too, which explains with that speed. Like, he's a game changer for I guess, the new mold of a linebacker. And, plus a lot of the defensive coordinators for the Lions love him, too, at that pick. Love Simmons, too. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about Simmons here. Having Patricia put him in his defense, that would open up the book to many things. Like, you can experiment him and have him go anywhere on the field, and he can make an impact. And plus, with the win now mandate, the Lions need someone to come in and make an immediate impact on this defense. Simmons makes that immediate impact. Okudah will need a couple years to make that impact. And Patricia and Quinn don't have that time. They need someone with an immediate impact. It's really 50-50 if Simmons falls to the Lions at 5. Because, there's always that chance. But I think the Giants, they're probably going to go offensive line with the pick. There's also been a couple reports that the Giants could also be targeting Derek Brown, too, with that pick. All I say is that the only way I would take Okudah at 5 or lower is if we trade back and Simmons is gone, and I would look at Okudah as my plan B pick. But yeah, for now, I have the Lions taking Isaiah Simmons with the 5th overall pick. So now, with the 18th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Detroit Lions select, out of LSU, defensive back Kristen Fulton. Now, originally for this pick, I would be rooting for Javon Kinlaw to fall to us, but I don't think Kinlaw is going to fall past 13. But, there's a chance, I think there's a strong chance that Fulton will fall to the Lions at 18. Because Fulton's been falling down on the draft boards. He used to be up there near the top of the team's late top 10 pick. But now he's starting to fall down the boards. A lot of mock drafts are now having him late first round. Maybe even early second round. Yeah, but I think he's going to go late first round. He's had a couple links with like the Raiders and the Jaguars in that late round area. So I think here, let's beat everyone to it and snatch him up at the 18th pick. So yeah, Fulton, he's a very fluent athlete. He has the long arms, a great change of direction. He always mixes up the approach, though, when he comes up in press man coverage. Has great patience and feel, He's going to be a future starter at the NFL level. He could fall a little short of the #1 status due to his, little lack of height. He's fluid enough, can mirror and could be competitive in man coverage and be with the receivers and hang with them. He's going to be a solid player in this league. After the Lions miss out on Jeff Okudah, I say we get the consolation prize for it and get the next best defensive back in the draft that perfectly fits Patricia's defensive scheme. Okudah's the perfect fit for the scheme for a defensive back, but Kristen Fulton would be the next best pick after. And I think there's a strong chance Fulton falls to that pick. So yeah, pick 18, I got Kristen Fulton. And plus with Fulton here, we can also have a training camp battle for Darius Slay-Spot in the secondary, because we also got the Penn State defensive back, Amani Oruwariye, that we got in the draft last year. And Fulton can battle with him for that spot. Both of them can push each other to get better. So we can create a training camp battle right there, as both of them would battle it out for Darius Slay-Spot to line up on the opposite side of the field again from Desmond Trufant. And who knows, maybe sometime down the line, we could have both of them start when Trufant decides to hang up or when he's done. So yeah, I think Fulton would be a great pick to eventually maybe become either Slay or Trufant's replacement. Or maybe even Coleman's replacement. But yeah, with the 18th pick, I got Kristen Fulton to the Lions. So with the 26th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Detroit Lions select out of Penn State edge rusher Yuder Gross-Matos. So for Yuder, he's what a prototypical edge rusher is supposed to look like. He's a long, fluid athlete. He's developed steadily at Penn State the last 2 years. He's going to be around there. He should be around there at that range. The late first-round pick, early second-round potential. Very electric as a mover. He's just scratching the surface of his potential, so he's really showing his future coming now. He has quickness and bendability. He can always bend around the edge. It also can go speed to power. And can walk tackles back into the quarterback. It's a draft short on surefire edge rushers after Chase Young. But out of all the remaining ones after Chase Young, Yuder has the higher ceiling among all of them. He has star potential to be a 3-down defense edge rusher. He has a couple rough edges, though, he's going to have to clean up. Especially when blockers get in his frame and he fails to keep blockers out of his chest. He only has a few things to clean up and try and stay low. But if we can clean those edges up, he can make an impact as a #2 pass rusher. Can bend the edge, do damage inside. Like, this was a tough pick. It was either him or AJ Epineza. But I feel like Yuder has a higher ceiling than Epineza. Plus, one of the things this team has lacked is blue chip talent. And I think Yuder is more of a blue chip prospect than Epineza. It was a tough choice to go, but I'm going to go Yuder on him with this one. So pretty much after we miss out on Chase Young, then in the later round we go ahead and we make up for it and get the consolation prize. Like, he's a very talented player. Like, his height and weight is actually the exact same as Chase Young. Speed is very similar. So, it would be a solid pickup to get if we can get that other late first round pick, and maybe snatch him up there. So yeah, very solid prospect. I like what he offers on the table. Could be the perfect complement for Trey Flowers on the other side of the defensive line. So yeah, I got, with the 26th pick, Yuder Gross-Matos to the Lions. So with the 35th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions' original third-round pick, the Lions stay with that pick, and they take running back out of Georgia, DeAndre Swift. Now, in this scenario, there's a question about who will be the first running back taken off the board. Will it be J.K. Dobbins? Will it be Swift? Will it be even Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Will it even be Jonathan Taylor? That's been the question between all four of those running backs. Good chance at least 3 of them are going to be there for sure. I think mainly the question is it between Dobbins and Swift? I think, honestly, Dobbins has a better chance of going first round than Swift. I think Swift's starting to fall down on a lot of mock draft boards. And Dobbins is starting to really rise a little bit up as a late first-round pick. I've even seen a couple mock drafts where no running back is taken in the first round. I think Dobbins has a better chance of going first round, and I say Swift will be there in a second, without a doubt. Plus, like I said, the Lions, the one thing they've lacked is blue-chip talent. And Swift is as blue-chip really as it gets. You know, he's a very great running back. He's one of the most complete backs in the class. He runs with a savvy of a veteran. You know, he has some great, outstanding vision and a patience for allowing the blocks to come and take advantage of him. You know, he's a very polished product. There's no untapped upside to unleash. He has the potential to be a generational talent, and he's very impressive, and he could emerge as a very good 3-down back in the NFL. Could step in on day one as a starter. You know, there's a lot of questions, though, if he can carry a massive workload, because he's never had 200 carries in a single season due to Georgia's backfield being so depth with running backs. Like, last year in 2019, he had 196 carries last year. Like, he's a very talented running back. He's going to be a talented running back in this league. Like, the Lions need to get another running back in this draft, because Kerryon Johnson has not been able to get it done. Kerryon Johnson cannot stay healthy if his life depended on it. Ty Johnson hasn't been impressive yet, unless it's on special teams. While Bo Scarborough has talent, but he can't do it all on his own. So we get another running back in that backfield to help out. And hey, you know, we have an option now in case Kerryon Johnson goes down again. We got someone to lean on to. So, one of the more talented backs in the draft. I say if Swift does indeed fall there, you gotta take him, no doubt. Don't even think twice. Now, I would be okay with taking Dobbins or even Taylor. I mean, could be a scenario where Taylor could go in the first round. But I say in this one, I'm going to go DeAndre Swift with the 35th pick in the second round. So now, with the 39th pick in the 2020 NFL Mock Draft, the pick the Lions acquired from the Dolphins in the round 1 trade, the Detroit Lions select, out of the University of Oklahoma, defensive tackle Neville Gallimore. So I think the Lions, they need a couple more defensive linemen, mainly some depth at defensive tackle, because, you know, we've had the departure of Snacks Harrison and A'Shawn Robinson. Mike Daniels also left in the offseason. And Deshaun Hand last year had a bad year, could not stay healthy. So we need to get some depth in there, you know. Like Neville Gallimore, he's a very impressive athlete. He's built like a boulder, has the quickness and athleticism of somebody very disruptive to to get through the line and make a play. He moves almost like a linebacker. He's very fast, has incredible balance, and great change of direction ability for his type. He's more of a one-gap player. A lot of teams are going to ask for that for a lineman. He can fit as a nose tackle in there, so he could come in there, maybe take over for Nick Williams and line up alongside Danny Shelton and stuff to run there. He may struggle early on against the run early in his career, but in the long run, he can really improve there. Like, he's a disruptor. He can be an impact starter early on an even front. Because the Lions' defense, they've really alternated from 3-4 to 4-3, and yeah, you get the point. Like, he's a very impressive player. He's been listed as a boom or bust pick because he's had issues against the run, but if he can fix it up and he can improve on it and can really excel, I think the risk is worth the reward. I'd definitely take a chance with him. Plus, he had a very impressive NFL scouting combine, too. But however, he's real in a lot of mock drafts I've seen, he's really starting to fall back down. Like, he's now falling into the mid-second round. So I say at that pick, I say with the chance, if he's still there, take the chance, snatch him up. And he can really do something well on this defensive line. He's a very talented player. You know, so yeah, with that pick, I think the Lions could really do a lot with that defensive line. Really improve it there, you know, with the additions of Nick Williams and Danny Shelton. Put Gallimore in there, that could be a really good defensive line. You know, effectively the replacement for A'Shawn Robinson for sure. So yeah, with the 39th pick, I got Neville Gallimore out of Oklahoma. So with the 56th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the other second-round pick the Lions acquired from the Dolphins, and the final second-round pick of this for the Lions in this round, the Detroit Lions select out of TCU offensive tackle Lucas Niang. Now, Lucas, he's been labeled as a late third-rounder, early fourth-rounder, but he's starting to rise on a few mock draft boards. You know, he's an absolute mauler in the run game. Like, he's very effective in the run game. He has a few things to clean up in pass protection, but he can develop there in time. You know, he's an absolute monster, a beast in the run game. He does have a few health issues, though, because he did have a knee, because he had a hip injury in his junior year that required surgery, and the medicals will need a close look, but when he came back, it didn't look like he lost a step in his senior year. So, definitely, though, looks like someone to definitely keep an eye on with this pick for sure. Like, you know, you can have him come in, you can have, Halapoulivaati Vitae start at right tackle. And if Big V struggles, you can move Big V to guard and then move Lucas onto the right tackle spot. And with both those two linemen being very good in the run game and testing really well in the run game, you can run the ball up the right side of the field with the running back core we got in the power run. You know, he's a good, and with the right coaching, he could develop into one of the better right tackles in the league. So he would address a position of need since right tackle spot is still open after the Lions got rid of Wiggins. Rick Wagner, so yeah. So yeah, definitely someone, because the Lions need to run the ball more to make this offense successful. That's been the one thing Stafford's never had in his career, is a top 15 run game. Because run game wins championships and defenses win championships. And if we can get some O-linemen that excel in run blocking and some depth, we can run the ball more effective and give Stafford everything he needs to succeed. So yeah, with that pick, I got the Lions going with Lucas Niang. So now moving into the third round of the draft. With the 67th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Lions' original third-round pick, the Detroit Lions select out of the University of Wisconsin, guard/center, Tyler Biadasz. Now, Tyler, he's one of the latest quality offensive linemen from the Wisconsin pipeline, because Wisconsin really develops great offensive linemen for the NFL. You know, he's one of the best that they've had, that Wisconsin's had to offer the last two drafts. You know, very good technician. He was one of the main anchors for the top offensive line in the college football last year. And he's very good in the run game, which is what the Lions want to do, is run the ball more. You know, he does have a few limitations as an athlete. He had a couple rough games against Ohio State. Twice, once in the regular season and then in the Big Ten title game, you know. But overall, a lot of power run teams could need to look at him as a day one starter. He could go in a center, can go in a guard. If we want to move him to center, we can then move Ragnow over to guard. You know, potentially take over, have Ragnow take over potentially Graham Glasgow's spot, or have Biadasz take over that spot at some time down the line. You know, he's a solid offensive lineman. He can hit. He's capable of handling the NFL strength and physicality. he's starting to fall down a bit because he does have some athletic limitations, though. But he's may need some time to develop, but he can make an impact. And keep in mind, his old teammate Bo Benchwell is still with the Lions and could become someone for Beatis to lean on too for experience. So yeah, with this pick, I got the Lions taking guard/center Beatis to help out the run game so that we can give Stafford the tools he needs to succeed in some protection too. So with the Lions' final third-round pick, the 85th pick in the 2020 NFL Mock Draft, the third-round pick the Lions acquired from the Eagles in the Darius Slay trade, the Detroit Lions select, out of the University of Texas, wide receiver Devin Duvernay. Now, Devin, he's more like a running back that plays a wide receiver, very stout, powerful frame. He's an absolute burner. He has, home run caliber speed. Ran one of the faster 40-yard times in the draft. And he's able to break a tackle after the catch. So he's very good on yards after the catch. He can really burn people in the backfield after the catch. He's more like a Golden Tate type receiver. Could come in and play the slot spot where Golden Tate used to play. Could be that wide receiver we've been looking for to fill Golden Tate's spot after so many years. He also has very good hands, and he can also make the tough catch in traffic. So if he's ever double or triple team, he can find a way to get the ball and still burn people on it. He has a few things to work on in terms of route running, but he could do some very good damages on touches out of the slot, so he can be a very good receiver in the slot. Also can help out on special teams as a returner, which is what we need, is some help on special teams too, so there's some versatility with him. He's going to be neat to coach. He's going to need some time to develop. We do need to address receiver in the draft because Danny Amendola's getting older. He's in his mid-30s. He's not going to be here forever. He only signed a one-year extension. And Marvin Jones is also in the final year of his contract. And it's been rumored that this is going to be Marvin Jones' last year in Detroit. So, you could have him here. You also got Travis Fulgham, who the Lions drafted out of Old Dominion last year. And you also got Marvin Hall, who's been a deep zone monster on the deep throw every time he comes out in the field. So, yeah, you can complement Marvin Hall with another fast receiver in the slot. Someone, to eventually take over Danny Amendola's spot. So, yeah, he's a very talented receiver, can really burn players on yards after the catch. Could take Golden Tate's spot, like I mentioned. So, yeah, with the 85th pick, I got the Lions taking wide receiver Devin Duvernay. So, now moving into the fourth round with the 109th pick in the 2020 NFL Mock Draft, the Detroit Lions trade the pick to the Las Vegas Raiders. So, I have a trade in the fourth round. The reason I have the Lions trading the pick in the fourth round is, believe it or not, every year that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia have been together, they have always made a trade in the fourth round. In 2018, they traded up with the Patriots to get Deshaun Hand, and last year they traded back with the Atlanta Falcons to get Austin Bryant. So the Lions have made a trade, and this year I say the Lions, with how high a pick they have in the draft, with the third pick in the fourth round, I say Detroit Lions are more likely to trade down in the fourth round. So for this trade down scenario, I have the Lions getting the Raiders' fourth round pick this year, which is pick 121. And I also have the Lions getting the Raiders' fifth round pick. I debated if I wanted the Lions to get a 2021 late round pick, but with Quinn and Patricia in a win now mandate, I'm not taking picks though for next year. I'm taking picks for this year. If they weren't on our mandate, I maybe would have considered a late round pick in 2021. But for this scenario, I'll say a fifth round pick, the pick 159. So the Lions get an additional fifth to trade back with the Raiders. Now, the player that the Raiders could trade up for, it's very tough to call. It's tough to call which team the Lions. I think Lions will trade back in the fourth again and continue the trend. The team it will be, it could literally be anybody, and it could be for literally any player. Could be for Jalen Hurts if Hurts falls that low. I highly doubt it, but you never know. You know, it's very tough to call. But yeah, still, you know, it could literally be anybody for any player. Because you never know how these drafts go. They're always unpredictable. But for this scenario, I'm going to say the team will be the Vegas Raiders. So yeah, that's the trade. Let's continue on. So now, after the trade back with the Raiders, now with the 121st pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Lions only pick in the 4th round. Yes, can you believe it? The Lions only have one pick in a round for a change. How about that? But anyway, with the pick, the Detroit Lions select out of Washington State quarterback Anthony Gordon. So Anthony, you know, he has a lot of similarities to the man he replaced at Washington State in 2019, Gardner Minshew. He was mainly a backup his entire college career. Started off at San Francisco, at the City College of San Francisco, learned behind Luke Falk. Then he went to Washington State, learned behind Gardner Minshew. He only had 1 year of starting experience, but in that 1 year, he had a very productive season. In a very good offense. He was a rhythm and timing passer and could adapt at pre-snap diagnostics. You know, very good athlete. You know, he has a gunslinger mentality like Matt Stafford. Stafford's more of a gunslinger with the ball. You know, he's a very mobile gunslinger. He can extend plays. He can make accurate throws on the run. He can also drop his arm and navigate the throwing lanes, and also shows good stip when he tests tight windows in the short and intermediate levels and in deep zone. So he's very good at throwing the ball deep. He does have a few issues, though. When it comes to the pass rush, it can sometimes get to him, and he also had a lot of shaky moments in his one season. You know, he's more of a development QB, but there are a lot of traits molding. You know, he has the potential to be a very good starter to take over eventually for Stafford. Like, believe me, as much as I love Matthew Stafford, he's not getting any younger, and he's not going to be with the Lions forever. I think this is a good QB to have in the fold to potentially take over. You know, he's a big-time sleeper in this draft. I think a lot of people are sleeping on him. Has a lot of potential. Like last year, he had, like, the second most touchdowns out of all the QBs in this draft, and the second best completion percentage out of all the QBs in the draft. Like, his completion percentage was, like, just ahead of, Tua Tagovailoa's completion percentage. Like, he had the second most, out of all the QBs in this draft class, he had the second most touchdown passes out of all of them, with 48 touchdown passes in 13 games. The only QB to have more touchdown passes than Gordon was Joe Burrow, with Joe Burrow's 60 touchdown passes, because of Joe Burrow's monster season with LSU. But, you know, he's a very talented quarterback with he had the 1 year, but he was very effective in that 1 year. He averaged around 429 yards, passing yards per game, which is very good for a QB. 2 games to highlights and note. He had 2 games and notes. In a 67-63 loss to UCLA, Anthony threw for 9 touchdown passes and really kept Washington State in the game. Like, he's been mainly one of the heart and souls of Washington State's offense. Also for Anthony, he also had a 606-yard passing yard game against Oregon State in a 54-53 win over Oregon State. So he has some good games. You know, he's a very good passer. You know, it's definitely someone to keep an eye on. And if we bring him in, you know, adding Chase Daniels into another veteran QB as a backup, you know, then Anthony Gordon has the potential to learn under both Stafford and Chase Daniels and could develop into a good QB. Take our time with him and be patient and eventually mold the offense around Anthony Gordon. You know, definitely a QB that a lot of people are sleeping on. And we usually see a lot of good QBs go in the later rounds. Like Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. Russell Wilson was a 3rd-round pick. Joe Montana was even a 3rd-round pick. Like, the 1st round doesn't really guarantee you'll get a franchise quarterback. You can find a lot of diamonds in the rough for QBs. And I think this is the diamond in the rough here with Anthony Gordon. definitely a QB to keep an eye on. We'll consider. I'd say if he's there in the later round, in the 4th round, you got to take him. You know, he could fall as low as the 6th round, but we see, like I said, with these drafts, we've seen how unpredictable the later rounds can be for sure. So yeah, with the 121st pick, I have the Lions taking quarterback Anthony Gordon out of Washington State. Now, entering the 5th round, with the 149th pick in the 2020 NFL Mock Draft, the Lions' original 5th round pick, the Detroit Lions select from the University of Nebraska defensive back Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson, he's a big physical press man coverage corner. You know, he's that big physical corner that Matt Patricia likes to have in his defenses. You know, his physicality will live up in the NFL. He can line up on top of receivers. He can get hands on them early, can reroute them. He has good speed. And when you combine it with his length, he can also have the ability to recover downfield when he tracks the ball well. Also strong in run support, and he can slip block, show good tackle radius when he wraps up. He will need a little work on his technique and his instincts. You know, he has a few technique issues, but, you know, hey, there's always room for improvement. But not many corners are built with his size of 6'2" and 205 pounds. He's more of a development project, but over time, with the right coaching and development, he has this potential to become a starter. You know, someone maybe to take over on Coleman's spot when Coleman's contract is up in a couple years, since Coleman's not going to be here forever, and he's going to be on the other side of 30. Like, so far with this kind of draft, with this draft I'm having, we could have a potential to have a backfield with, like, the likes of, you know, Laurier, with Fulton, and maybe Lamar Jackson in there, too. That could be a pretty good secondary if they all work out well. Like, Lamar Jackson, he fits the kind of mold for a defensive back that Matt Patricia wants. You know, could be a big sleeper, one of those good diamonds in the rough, too. You know, it's definitely a lot of upside with him. So, yeah, with the 149th pick, I got the Lions taking Lamar Jackson. So, with the 159th pick in the 2020 NFL Mock Draft, the 5th round pick the Lions acquired from the Oakland Raiders, the Detroit Lions select from the University of Wisconsin wide receiver Quintez Cephus. Now, Quintez, you know, he's very athletic, really athletic for his size. He plays a lot bigger than a lot of his listed measurables may say, so don't get fooled by him. You know, very good mover, has the suddenness to get in and out of the breaks, consistently separate out a lot of his routes. He's very polished as a route runner in all 3 levels. Very strong hands, can snatch the ball very well. Has very good leaping ability and core strength, which could allow him to dominate the jump ball situations over defensive backs. So he's someone you could throw the ball deep to, and he can jump and get the ball. Now, very quick off the line of scrimmage, can escape a jam. You know, we can also stack defensive backs that can make him a big threat on the vertical routes. Now, the one downfall he does have, though, is that he does have a lot of character red flags in the background. Will need to be investigated some more. Since last summer, he was tried for 2 counts of sexual assault from 2 different women. But when the case was reviewed in court, Cephus was found not guilty on both counts and was not charged at all. So yeah, and for a lot of mock drafts I've seen, Cephus has really been falling down the board because of this mock, because of the background. Not many teams may take a chance on him early on. Could be someone to look at in the later rounds. I'm comfortable, to take a chance on him and take a risk and hope it pays out in the reward. I mean, if you can keep his head on straight and hope he can keep his dick in his pants, then the high risk is worth the high reward because he has a very good upside. He can win on a variety of routes. He has the potential to be a starter, likely number 2 wide receiver. Could be someone that could be the receiver we could need to complement Kenny Golladay in the pass game. Someone will eventually come in and take over Marvin Jones' spot. I think he could be that one player that we could see fall in the later rounds and snag up. Kind of like how Monty Laurier, who had the potential to go late first round last year, and he fell all the way to us in the 5th round. Could be that kind of situation all over again. So yeah, with the 159th pick, I got the Lions taking wide receiver Quintez Cephas. So with the 166th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Detroit Lions select from the University of Miami linebacker Shaquille Quarterman. Now, Shaquille, he was a 4-year starter at Miami. He's a hard-hitting linebacker, very physical. You know, he's that big physical type of linebacker Patricia thrives on, too. You know, a lot of teams are going to love the brutality and his instincts for some of his shortcomings. You know, very good stuffing the run. His guy's best when he attacks downhill as a run defender. Can read and react to play quickly. He can also be a blitzer and be relentless and have balance through contact. He does have a few athletic limitations, which drops him down the board a bit. He's not going to be able to play a lot on passing downs, even if he's hitting in the short zones, though, with his, since he's a very heavy-footed. You know, very limited range, though. He's a lot far better attacking downhill as a pass rusher than chasing sideline to sideline, and more of a run stuffer. You know, he's more, he could be also a special teamer, too, so there's some versatility with him. He's more like a 2-down linebacker, so he can mainly come in on, like, second and short plays or third and short plays, or even some 4th and short plays, or like 4th down, or even in the goal line situation. You know, that kind of linebacker that can make that you need to make a quick play. You know, definitely someone to even consider. He does bring a lot of serious pop, though, but he always goes for the kill shot, though. So that's always good. He always tries to go for the big kill and go for the big kill. So yeah, someone I think we should consider. You know, he's a very solid playmaker. When he needed to make a play, he made a play. He was a tackling machine at Miami in college. You know, someone that could do some good damage stuff for us in the run game to defend the run. And plus, I think the Lions may want to, you know, do what they did with the tight ends last year and get some depth in the linebacker position. Since the linebacking unit was one of the worst units on the team, we can improve it and have it become one of the better units on the team. You know, he could be like that, like Helani Tavai. You know, can give Helani Tavai a compliment, stuffing the run, too, in the middle there. So yeah, with the 166th pick, I have the Lions taking Shaquille Quarterman. So now moving into the 6th round, with the 182nd pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Detroit Lions select from Michigan State defensive tackle Raekwon Williams. So, you know, Raekwon, he's very quick off the ball. It allows him to wreck plays before they really get started. You know, he has the length to hold off the blockers, and he has the motor to work his way into the backfield. And he can eat blocks, he can penetrate and make plays in the backfield and stuff to run. And get to the passer if he needs to. You know, he does a good job reading and recognizing the blocking scheme, so he normally can read the play and know where they're blocking and where the ball's going to go. And what if they're going to be pass protecting, so we can read that well. He has a good tackle radius, and he can always finish his plays, which is very good. He has a lot of room to grow, but, you know, with the right coaching and the right time, and if the Lions can develop talent, he has the quality to not only become a starter that can make plays in the backfield, he can also be a solid rotational piece for the line. Because keep in mind, last year Deshaun Hand had issues staying healthy last year. So now Deshaun Hand's durability becomes questioned. And, you know, Nick Williams, he only signed for a couple years. And he's on the other side of 30, so you got to keep that in mind. So, yeah, get some young pieces like Raekwon in. He has a very high ceiling. He could be a starter or a rotational piece, whatever you prefer. You know, he can make plays in the backfield, and he can really get through the blocks. So, yeah, solid piece to really consider here. I've been pretty high on him, too, for a defensive tackle to get in the later rounds. You know, could be a run stuffer, can also be a pass rusher, too. And yeah, it's like, also at this point, I haven't even taken a Michigan player yet, so you know what? Fuck it, why not? And there's a good chance that he's going to be there in the later round. He's supposed to be there in the later rounds, like late 5th round, maybe even early 6th round. So yeah, I'd definitely say if he's there, pick him up while you're at it. So yeah, at the 182nd pick, I have the Detroit Lions taking defensive tackle Raekwon Williams. And now we get to the Lions' final pick of the draft in the 7th round. With the 235th pick in the 2020 NFL mock draft, the Detroit Lions, the pick the Lions acquired with Deron Harmon from the Patriots. The Detroit Lions select from Texas A&M punter Braden Mann. Now, Braden, he has the unconventional build for a punter. You know, his legs spring-loaded. The reason I'm taking a punter here is because Sam Martin, our punter for a long time, left the Lions in free agency to go to Denver. So now punter becomes an area of need. The good news is we can address punter with the last pick and get the best punter available at that pick. And I'm saying, I think, you know, there's a lot of mock drafts that have Braden Mann going in the 7th round. So yeah, if Braden Mann's there, say go get him. Get the best punter there is in the draft. You know, he's very compact build. He always likes to repeat his motion. He drops it, allows him to get the ball away quicker when he needs to. Very at his best when he unleashes the ball downfield. He can drive it over the head of the returners. He did very well as kicking inside the 20 last year. Not one of his best strengths, though. He really improved on it. He's also a very good kickoff specialist, too, because keep in mind, when Sam Martin was our punter in Detroit, not only did he handle punting duties, Sam Martin was also handled the kickoff duties, too. So all Matt Prater had to do was just kick field goals and extra points. So I think when the Lions are going to be looking for a punter, they're also going to be looking for a punter that can also be doing kickoffs, too. And yeah, and Braden Mann was also one of the top kickoff specialists in the country. He has a few things to work on for the nuisances of punting, like more directional kicking. But, you know, he has the talent, though, to have a long career in the NFL. He's one of the most talented punters. He averages around 50 yards a punt, so he can really pin your opponent deep in the backfield. And he had 57 punts of at least 50 yards or more in his college career, and he only had one punting attempt blocked. So he's very accurate with his punts, and he can really get them far. Has a very good leg. Definitely one of the most solid punters in the draft. I think if he's there, we got to get him for sure. So yeah, with the 235th pick, the final pick in the mock draft, I have the Detroit Lions taking Braden Mann out of Texas A&M, the punter. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up here for my mock draft for the Detroit Lions for 2020. I think it was a really solid mock draft. Looked really good. You know, addresses a lot of needs. The Lions accomplished their main goal, address their needs. They get players that fit the system and the scheme perfectly. And they also get the thing that they've been lacking, some blue chip talent. Without a shadow of a doubt. You know, I think if the Lions can pull off a draft similar to this, I think the Lions could set themselves up well for the next decade if everything goes right. I'm not sure about the trade I made with the Dolphins in the 1st round. If the Lions can pull that kind of trade off, I would be very impressed. You know, it could be possible if the 3rd pick turns into an all-out bidding war, but hey, it's a mock draft. It's more about experimenting and see what you can do and what you can pull off. And it's what I would do if I was the GM of the Lions. But hey, I can dream, damn it, can't I? So anyway, one last time, I'll go over the mock draft and I'll tell you what I did. So, in the 1st round, I traded the 3rd pick to the Miami Dolphins for picks 5, 18, 26, 39, and 56. With the 5th pick, I took linebacker Isaiah Simmons out of Clemson. With the 18th pick, I took defensive back Kristen Fulton out of LSU. With the 26th pick, I took edge rusher Yuder Gross-Matos out of Penn State. With the 35th pick, I took running back DeAndre Swift out of Georgia. With the 39th pick, I took defensive tackle Neville Gallimore out of Oklahoma. With the 56th pick, I took offensive tackle Lucas Niang out of TCU. With the 67th pick, I took offensive guard / center Tyler Biadasz out of Wisconsin. With the 85th pick, the pick we acquired from the Eagles in the Darius Slay trade, I acquired wide receiver Devin Duvernay out of Texas. In the 4th round, I traded the 109th pick to the Raiders for picks 121 and 159, the Raiders' 5th round pick. With the 121st pick, I had the Lions acquiring quarterback Anthony Gordon out of Washington State. With the 149th pick, I had the Lions acquire defensive back Lamar Jackson out of Nebraska. With the 159th pick, I had the Lions acquiring wide receiver Quintez Cephas out of Wisconsin. With the 166th pick in the draft, it was the 5th round pick the Lions acquired from the Eagles in the Darius Slay trade. Also, I forgot to mention that in the actual pick. Anyway, I had the Lions selecting linebacker Shaquille Quarterman out of Miami. With the 182nd pick in the draft, I had the Lions acquiring defensive tackle Raekwon Williams out of Michigan State. And with the Lions' final pick, the 235th pick in the draft, the 7th round pick the Lions acquired with Deron Harmon from the Patriots, I had the Lions taking punter Braden Mann out of Texas A&M. Very solid draft, I would say. It addresses a lot of needs, like I mentioned, and we got the main thing the team lacked, blue chip talent. So anyway, that's the mock draft. Tell me what your thoughts are about it in the comments. What you like about the mock draft, what did you hate about it? You know, where did I go right with it? Where did I go wrong? You know, hey, there's always room for improvement at the end of the day. But anyway, that's going to wrap it up here. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're brand new to the channel, please subscribe for more of this content and tap that bell for all notifications. And yes, I will have an episode of Free Agency Wars out Friday. There will be another episode of Free Agency Wars since we got a little bit to talk about. And this week's Free Agency Wars episode, it will be the final episode of Free Agency Wars before the draft. So yeah, anyway, that's all I gotta say. Gonna wrap it up here. This is the only mock draft I'm doing, by the way, so hopefully you enjoy it. Please take Simmons. Please take Isaiah Simmons. But yeah, that's all I gotta say, folks. Hope everyone was a great day, and yeah, peace out, and please take Isaiah Simmons.